without computers.
Exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave talked to you. We're all from Colorado. And so the last time we talked to you was a different situation, right? Our investigation was open and your case was open. That's completely different now. So your case is completely closed. Nothing about what we're going to talk about today has anything to do with an open investigation. So we're not here to get more charges on you or get any statements from you that are going to jam you up anymore, right? That's all done. So all of our cases are closed and the court case is closed. So there's nothing that we're going to talk about today that's going to get you in any type of trouble at all. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that's not why we're here. Okay. But why we are here. So the three of us work from three different agencies, right? Quite a bit different. CBI, FBI, and Frederick, different goals. And the things that happened with you kind of all brought us together. And as the months have passed on since everything happened, we just keep in touch with each other and we keep talking to each other. And we've all separately kind of said, did Chris seem unique to you? And me and Tammy have talked about this, Dave and I have talked about this. Did Chris's situation seem different to you? And we keep having that conversation. We can't quite put our finger on it, right? We think that your life leading up to all of the things that happened were very interesting to us. And for me personally, I don't know if you remember, but one of the last things you told me was, hey, Graham, I'm sorry that I started lying to you. And that stuck with me for the last couple months. It's been ringing in my head, right? I've never, ever worked a case like this where someone told me that ever. And so as I walked away, I thought, Chris is different. Chris is a little bit unique in that regard. So in talking with Tammy and talking with Dave, I said, what did you feel like when it all went down? When we were there, we were talking to you guys, and we all kind of, in our own different way and in our own different wording, said it all happened a bit too quick for us, right? So when we saw you last, we were talking about your family, about your parents, about everyone. And then the next thing you know, for me and Tammy and for Dave, all of a sudden some patrol officers came in and arrested you. And that was far quicker than we had hoped it would happen. And you understand why that happened, and we understand why that happened. But it left us with 1,000 questions that we didn't get to ask. And then even more importantly, I think it probably left you with 1,000 things that you didn't get to talk about with us. I don't know if you feel that way or not, but and so that's why we're here today. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about everything. I think there's a lot of things that you didn't get to talk about, and so
by 2026, the case of Chris Watts feels frozen in time. Yet the prison cameras say otherwise. While the public believes nothing has changed, the quiet glow of surveillance screens tells a different story. Inside the controlled stillness of incarceration, every movement is recorded, every pause preserved. And what those cameras show is unsettling, not because of violence, but because of what appears to be a man unraveling in slow motion. Correctional officers describe patterns that don't make headlines. Packing at odd hours, long stretches of staring at nothing, whispered conversations no one else can hear. The footage shows a man who seems alert one moment and distant the next, as if trapped in a private loop of memory he can't escape. There's no chaos, no dramatic outbursts, just a persistent tension that never lifts. The cameras catch rituals too, the same seat in the same room, the same posture, the same rigid stillness during counts. Psychologists who have reviewed similar behavior call it controlled dissociation, a way to survive when the mind can't reconcile past actions with present reality. In prison, routine becomes armor and Watts wears his tightly. What terrifies observers isn't what he does, but what he doesn't do. There's no visible grief, no moments of visible remorse captured on tape. Instead, there's an eerie calm that mirrors the man the world saw before everything collapsed. The calm before the storm, only this time the storm has already passed, leaving a silence that feels louder than screams. As the years stretch on, the cameras continue to watch, indifferent and unblinking. They don't judge, they don't forget. And in 2026, they suggest a chilling truth. Some crimes don't end with a sentence. They echo quietly, endlessly, inside the walls meant to contain them. If this chapter made you think, don't forget to like and subscribe for the next chapter, where we examine what experts believe the cameras can't show, but strongly imply. By 2026, prison officials insist that nothing about Chris Watts stands out, at least not on paper. No major infractions, no dramatic incidents. Yet when behavioral experts quietly reviewed extended surveillance footage, a different narrative emerged. It wasn't one moment that raised concern, it was repetition. Over months of footage, Watts follows an almost mechanical routine. He sits in identical positions for long periods, hands folded the same way, eyes fixed at a neutral point. When others move around him, he barely reacts. This isn't simple discipline or obedience, it's rigidity. Experts say this level of control often masks internal instability rather than calm. One psychologist familiar with long-term incarceration footage explains it this way: most inmates evolve. They adapt, socialize, express frustration, boredom, or anger in visible ways. Watts doesn't. His behavior remains eerily consistent, as if frozen at the moment his world collapsed. Even small disruptions, a schedule change, a new cellmate, appear to trigger subtle shifts: clenched jaws, repetitive motions, extended isolation. The cameras also capture something harder to define: emotional absence. During moments where others show stress or relief, counts ending, doors unlocking, meals arriving, Watts' expressions barely change. This flat affect, experts warn, can indicate emotional compartmentalization taken to an extreme. It's not healing, it's containment. What alarms professionals most is how well this goes unnoticed. On the surface, Watts appears compliant, even model-like. But beneath that stillness may be a mind looping through unresolved narratives, rehearsing, justifying, detaching. The cameras don't record thoughts, but patterns tell stories of their own. In 2026, these patterns suggest a man not moving forward, not confronting, not breaking down, but holding himself together with precision that feels unnatural. And when a mind never truly processes its past, experts say, the danger isn't what it might do, but what it refuses to face. By 2026, audio captured alongside prison surveillance reveals moments never meant for public ears. Not interviews, not interrogations, quiet incidental recordings, ambient sound picked up in corridors, common areas, and private cells during routine monitoring. And it's here, experts say, that Chris Watts becomes most unsettling.
Chris?
Do you remember us?
Yes. Yes.
See?
Okay. I see it. I just put it a moment there.
You look like different.
They, get a haircut every 2 months, but just to buzz pretty much everything off and all that, so.
I'm trying to think, did you have a
Yes,
tea last time? Okay.
they have like a little single blade razor, so I just kind of, go past the stubble, you just kind of,
Just do the best you can, huh?
just gotta go with that.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay, how about you guys?
Good.
Good.
I did not expect to see this, that's for sure.
Surprised.
Yes.
Well, let me put some fears aside. We're not here for what you might think we might be here for.
Well, they didn't know what that's a computer room. I was like, I didn't know we had a computer room.
Without computers.
Exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave talked to you. We're all from Colorado. And so the last time we talked to you, it's a different situation, right? Our investigation was open and your case was open. That's completely different now. So your case is completely closed. Nothing about what we're going to talk about today has anything to do with an open investigation. So we're not here to get more charges on you or get any statements from you that are going to jam you up anymore, right? That's all done. So all of our cases are closed and the court case is closed. So there's nothing that we're going to talk about today that's going to get you in any type of trouble at all. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that's not why we're here.
Okay.
But why we are here. So the three of us work from 3 different agencies, right? Quite a bit different. CBI, FBI, and Frederick PD. Different goals. And things that happened with you kind of what brought us together. And as the months have passed on since everything happened, we just keep in touch with each other and we keep talking to each other. And we've all separately kind of said, did Chris seem unique to you? And me and Tammy have talked about this, Dave and I have talked about this. Did Chris's situation seem different to you? And we keep having that conversation. We can't quite put our finger on it, right? We think that your life leading up to all the things that happened were very interesting to us. And for me personally, I don't know if you remember, but one of the last things you told me was, hey, Graham, I'm sorry that I started lying to you. And that stuck with me for the last couple months. It's ingrained in my head, right? I've never, ever worked a case like this where someone told me that ever. And so as I walked away, I thought, Chris is different. Chris is a little bit unique in that regard. So, I'm talking with Tammy.
In these recordings, Watts sometimes speaks softly to himself. Not full conversations, fragments, short sentences, half-finished thoughts. They aren't emotional outbursts or clear confessions. Instead, they sound rehearsed, almost practiced, as if he's repeating internal scripts aloud. Phrases about mistakes, choices, and how things went wrong surface again and again. Not apologies, not remorse, just framing. Behavioral analysts point out a troubling pattern. Watts rarely uses names, not his wife, not his children's. When he references the past, it's abstract, that situation, what happened, the outcome. This linguistic distancing, they say, allows him to discuss events without emotionally engaging with them. It's a protective mechanism, but also a revealing one. Even more chilling are moments of self-correction. In one clip, Watts begins a sentence, stops, then restarts it in a calmer tone, as if editing himself in real time. Experts believe this suggests ongoing narrative control, an effort to maintain a version of reality that feels safer to him than the truth. What's missing is just as important as what's present. There is no spontaneous grief, no anger directed inward, no visible collapse of the persona he's maintained since his arrest. Instead, the audio paints a picture of someone still organizing the past, filing it into manageable boxes. Prison psychologists warn that this level of detachment doesn't fade on its own. When a person avoids emotional reckoning for years, the mind adapts around the avoidance. The danger isn't denial, it's permanence. In 2026, the silence around Chris Watts isn't empty. It's curated. And what he allows himself to say, even alone, suggests a man still negotiating with his own story rather than accepting it. Don't miss what comes next. Like and subscribe for the next chapter where we examine how control, not guilt, may be the key to understanding him. By the fourth year of continuous observation, prison staff began noticing a pattern that didn't show up on incident reports. Chris Watts wasn't just compliant, he was calculated in his compliance. Every movement, every interaction, every response appeared measured. Control, it seemed, had become his primary survival skill. In prison, unpredictability is often a threat, but Watts avoided it entirely. He followed routines with near-military precision, wake-up times, meal schedules, exercise periods. Guards noted that he rarely deviated, even when deviations were allowed. This wasn't obedience out of fear, it was structure as armor, as long as everything stayed ordered. Nothing unexpected could force emotion to surface. Psychologists reviewing his behavior describe this as containment living. By shrinking his world to a narrow set of repeatable actions, Watts minimized the risk of internal confrontation. Chaos invites reflection. Routine suppresses it. More telling were his interactions with others. Watts spoke politely but briefly. He listened more than he talked. When conversations drifted toward personal histories or emotions, he disengaged, either physically by moving away or verbally by offering neutral responses. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply exited. This avoidance wasn't passive. It was strategic. Staff observed that Watts seemed acutely aware of how he was perceived at all times. Even in moments of supposed privacy, his posture stayed composed. his expressions controlled. It was as if the audience never left. Experts suggest this level of sustained self-monitoring indicates a deep fear, not of punishment, but of losing narrative control. If the story unravels, so does the identity he's built to survive incarceration. What's unsettling is how effective it's been. Years in, Watts has avoided breakdowns common among inmates serving life sentences. No violent incidents, no emotional collapses, just quiet endurance. But psychologists warn that control without reckoning is not healing, it's suspension. And suspended truths don't disappear, they wait. Control can last a long time, but it never lasts forever. By the time this chapter of Chris Watts' incarceration unfolds, subtle fractures begin to appear not as dramatic outbursts but as quiet inconsistencies. Prison cameras don't capture emotions the way faces do in freedom. They capture pauses, hesitations, moments when routine slips just enough to expose strain. Guards began nodding brief changes. Watts would stand still longer than necessary before responding to simple instructions. His eyes lingered on walls or floors, unfocused. These weren't violations, just delays. But delays matter when a person has spent years moving with mechanical precision. Psychologists call this microfatigue. When a person suppresses emotional processing for too long, the mind finds other exits, not through confession or breakdown, but through cognitive exhaustion. Watts appeared mentally tired in ways that couldn't be disciplined away. Sleep patterns also shifted. While he still followed schedules, reports suggested restless nights and increased packing during designated recreation time. Packing is often misunderstood as anxiety. In reality, it can be the body's attempt to release thoughts the mind refuses to address. What's disturbing is how Watts responded to these cracks. He didn't ask for help. He didn't request counseling beyond what was mandatory. Instead, he doubled down on control, cleaner cell, stricter routines, fewer interactions. The tighter the grip, the more pressure beneath it. Experts warn this phase is dangerous, not for others but internally. When someone builds their survival on emotional suppression, even minor disruptions can feel catastrophic. The mind begins replaying fragments, not full memories but sensations. Sounds, movements, unfinished moments. Prison staff reported no visible emotional displays, but absence doesn't equal peace. It often means the battle has moved entirely inward. This is the phase where people often believe the worst is over. The sentence is set. The routine is stable. Life continues. But psychologically, this is when reality begins knocking, not loudly but persistently. And when reality knocks long enough, it eventually demands to be answered. In prison, noise is constant. Doors slam, keys jangle, voices echo down concrete corridors. Yet for Chris Watts, the most unsettling presence wasn't sound, it was silence. By this stage, the routine had fully settled. Days blended together with almost no variation. Wake up, count, meals, work detail, lockdown, repeat. To most inmates, this monotony dulls the mind. For someone like Watts, it did the opposite. It sharpened it. Without distractions, the mind turns inward, and silence becomes a mirror. Prison cameras showed nothing dramatic, no breakdowns, no outbursts. But guards observed longer periods where Watts sat completely still, staring ahead without reading, writing, or sleeping. This wasn't rest. It was mental withdrawal, a sign the internal dialogue had grown louder than the outside world. Psychologically, this is a dangerous phase. When a person avoids accountability for years, silence removes their last escape. There are no performances, no conversations to manage, no image to curate. Just thoughts, looping, unresolved, relentless. Experts describe this as delayed cognitive reckoning. It doesn't look like guilt in the traditional sense. Instead, it manifests as mental pressure, fragmented focus, and emotional numbness. The brain begins replaying moments out of order, stripping away justifications and leaving raw fragments behind. Watts reportedly reduced voluntary interactions even further, fewer words, less eye contact, as if acknowledging others might invite questions he wasn't prepared to answer, even internally. This is where prison becomes more than punishment. It becomes confrontation. Not with the system, not with the public, but with oneself. And silence, unlike people, does not negotiate. It doesn't accept rehearsed explanations. It doesn't forget. The terrifying truth is this: when the noise fades, the mind speaks clearly. And sometimes what it says is unbearable. Before we go further, like this video and subscribe, because this chapter explains why silence can be more terrifying than chaos.
So that's why we're here today. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about everything. You know, I think there's a lot of things that you didn't get to talk about. And so, you know, that's why we're here. And it sticks with me that to this day, there's not one person that's told me, I saw it coming. I knew Chris was like that. I knew it. Not one person. So it's just, it's interesting to me, right? Not one. So we want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the people that we work with, your family, Shanann's family, have said, you know, if you get to talk to Chris, would you tell him some things for him? So we have that to talk about today, and it's good. I think you'll like it. I think it will give you some closure. And so really that's why we're here. Are you available to talk to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So off the bat, if you have any questions, just tell us.
Okay.
If there's something that you don't want to talk about, that's okay. We might press you a little bit. Okay, we might say, well, do you mind if we just maybe then ask one question? If something makes you uncomfortable, just tell us. If we need to take any bathroom breaks, we can take bathroom breaks. You know, for anything like that. And we'll take bathroom breaks and water breaks ourselves too. So then, is there anything about your schedule today that makes it that you can't talk to us?
No, there was like a pass for this at the AM and the PM.
Okay.
Yeah, they reserved the room the whole day,
Oh,
just
okay.
in case.
That's just what they do.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like 2 separate things or something. But
I think you have to go back for lunch to get counted for or something.
Oh.
Accounted for.
yeah, I think
11:30.
lunch is like 11, what they're counting like 12:15. So
So in general, how is it here?
it's a lot different in Colorado.
Is it?
Good or bad?
It's better, I think, because I mean, it's here. I'm actually around other people. I mean, in Colorado, it was just like I was segregated, and there was like counting on the walls all night, screaming, and just telling me
From other people?
Oh,
Really?
they're just telling me like how I should kill myself and like what they're gonna do to me, and just like all that kind of stuff. So
Oh.
it was today. This is a lot different because I mean, people here don't seem to. It's not like they don't care, but it's just kind of like they don't like judge you as soon as you walk in. Colorado was like they knew why I was there, and that was it. They were just like they had 1 second on hold of me. It would have been
Really?
they were, yeah.
Gee, man. Must be out then.
Out of like what kind of jail? I don't know what it was like in DOC there, but like, they had to lock down the jail for me to walk down the hallway.
Wow. It will? So they had to make sure you were completely separated from anyone else. Gee.
Wow.
Like I didn't see anybody else there. Like I was still next to somebody, but like I never saw them.
You just hear them.
How did they know who you were?
I don't know. I just they make phone calls in there too.
Oh, okay.
And they got the newspaper in there before I got in there. So
Yeah. Have you been able to talk with family?
oh yeah, definitely. Like we get from 6 p.m. to 7:30. That's our my unit's not out, so we get to use the phone at that point in time.
Really? And do they charge you for it, or?
Oh, it's just like it's like Securus or something.
Okay. And how do you make money to pay for that?
They put money on the phone.
Oh.
So if I call, like, if I was like to dial somebody's number, they have to have like a phone account set up.
Oh.
It's like restricted.
And then so who you call pays for it?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Have you been able to talk to like family members and parents and all
Yeah,
that?
my mom and dad, my sister.
Okay. Good. Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing. Definitely. Yeah, they don't hear from me. They're like, "Oh, what's wrong? What's going on?"
Oh, good. And how was it with them?
And so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hard to hear your parents at sentencing.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were what they were gonna say. So
Yeah. And so, yeah, I really appreciated what they said. I don't know about you.
I definitely was. I didn't expect them to be there. So I knew they were there on the 6th. I'm sick, but I didn't expect them to fly back, and they wanted to fly back for that.
Yeah. And then what we mom said.
Definitely.
Good. Well, so we have 1,000 questions. I'm sure you do too. Do you care if we start, or do you have any questions for us?
Go ahead. We'll start.
All right. So one of the things that we're battling with is, and I won't make any assumptions today. So are you aware that this was a national story?
After a little while, I didn't talk to my parents while I was in Colorado.
Okay.
Because, I mean, my attorney team told me, all right, no phone calls, no letters, no nothing. So, like, I made one phone call when I was in the segregation area there, but my dad thought it was, like, somebody like a news.
Oh,
I trying to call.
so he didn't answer?
Yeah, so he didn't answer, but other than that,
Okay.
I didn't talk to anybody, but from what some of the deputies were saying that, for my attorney team coming in and said, this is like, they've got people from Australia, England, and all kinds of people trying to figure out what's going on. So,
Did they send you any other letters, like fan mail or anything? Well,
I got letters, but I couldn't keep them with me, so like I could read them like on my hour out. But it's like I got a bunch of just letters that had no return address and stuff that was just not very good letters.
yeah.
So
Okay. They came from a weird perspective, didn't they? From what we had heard.
definitely, there was one person I guess from Broomfield that was like writing like 4 times a week trying to come visit me, and then there was just a lot of people like writing that was like lead through markers saying like you're a monster, or all kinds of crazy stuff.
Well, we're going to talk about some hard issues today, but I don't intend to take you to a dark place today.
Okay.
I hope that when we're done, you'll feel better. I hope it'll be therapeutic. We're going to talk about, obviously, what happened with your family. So that's going to be hard to talk about. I appreciate anything you can tell me about it. If you need to take time out, if you need to get a tissue, that's fine, right? I think it'll be very good for you. It'll be good for us. And so one of the reasons I asked about that national attention is we were aware that you were getting a lot of letters, a lot of interest, and then us personally as law enforcement, we got so many people who claim to have known you, claim to have been with you, dated you,